Hey, welcome back in PowerMizzou.com here on YouTube. Gabe DeArmond, and we're trying to ramp up for the 2025-26 athletic year at Missouri, touching a lot of different things here over the next few weeks. And today, happy to have a special guest that I know a lot of you guys have been waiting to hear from. That is, I think we can still say new Mizzou women's basketball coach, Kellie Harper. Kellie, appreciate you taking a minute to join us. How you doing today?
I am doing great. I think 3 months in, I'm probably still considered new.
Right, you got to coach one game before you're not the new coach anymore. But
Yeah.
you've been here right around 100 days. I want to ask you if you could estimate how many of those 100 nights have you like gotten to spend at home, in Columbia with your family?
That's a good question. Because there's recruiting, but there's also personal moving back and forth.
Mhm.
So I'll be honest with you, I'd say probably over half, but not a lot over half. Um,
Yeah.
Now, actually, that's not true. With my family, very little because the transition has been really slow for our family getting up here.
Yeah. Are you at the point though? I mean, I know you guys are into workouts. You've gotten to be with the team. Are you at the point yet where it's like, all right, hey, I kind of feel like my feet are at least on the ground and I know where I'm at?
Yeah, I got there pretty quick
Mhm.
this job, and I think that part of that is the experience that I've had in the past. This is the fifth program that I've taken over, so when you've done that enough, you have an idea of the process and what needs to happen. But also, I think just I was able to get the staff that I needed, and when you get those folks in place, things go very smoothly in your offices. And we've had a lot of support from the other departments within the athletic department, and our administration to help support us. And because when you're new, you don't know anything. I mean, we were given a campus tour, and I had no idea. So we just have been learning, and it's been great. I mean, everything's been really positive. There's an energy here. There's an energy in the office suite, down in the locker room on the court that I think is really, really good right now.
I want to start kind of big picture with you and a little bit of background and then dive into a little more to your team and in this coming year and all that. There is a belief or an adage in sports that elite players don't often make really good coaches, right? Because I think the thought is an elite player will just look at players and say, well, just do it the way I did it. Why can't you do this? So I think anybody who knows your bio knows that you were an elite women's basketball player. Why do you think, when did you decide to go into coaching, and why do you think you've been able to make that transition work when the belief is a lot of people can't?
Well, first off, I'm very humbled to be called an elite athlete, so that maybe that was there, maybe it wasn't. I'll give you a little bit of why for me. I think it's worked out. My basketball background started very young. My dad was a coach, and he was also a teacher. Then he went into administration. He was administrator. When I went to college, I went as I thought I was going to teach high school and
Mhm.
coach in high school. So my background, I'm a teacher. I love to teach and I love to learn and I love to pass along what I learned. And there is no doubt that that's how I coach. And I think that has helped me as a basketball coach. And I think, as a coach, some people, I think that's who I am. It's my identity. And I think, some coaches, they get into it and they maybe don't have that identity. They're just a basketball player. But I'm a teacher by nature, no doubt.
So obviously your dad's your high school coach, and that's kind of your formative part of coaching. But everybody knows you played for probably the the most legendary coach in women's college basketball, if not all of college basketball. And I don't know if that's a thing that like you still you are honored and take pleasure in being asked about, or if it's kind of like, hey, can we quit talking about Pat Summit after 25 years? But I'm curious, like, if you took one or two things from playing for Coach Summit into what you are as a coach, what they were.
Yeah. First off, I loved her so much and I respected her so much. If every interview for the rest of my life I talk about Pat, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
So she was just that amazing, really. Um, I've always said, obviously this is a question that I've gotten my entire coaching career, and it honestly has never changed. The two things that I always say, first, she was really, really classy, right? I mean, she did it the right way, treated people the right way, um, was very professional. Um, I think that I've always felt like I wanted my programs to look that way, to have that feel and that vibe. We're just classy and we do things the right way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is more of a basketball piece, and it's not the offense or the defense because that's fluid, right? Trends change, the game changes, strengths, weaknesses of each team changes. But her poise as a coach, people don't often understand this, but for somebody that was in the huddle and now somebody that's leading the huddle, and when we're in a game, there's a lot going on, and it is fast, and it is fast paced, and there's decisions to be made. It's split second decisions, and not just decisions to be made, but decisions to express to a team, to teach, to get them there, and it all is done in a hurry. And that time can feel very anxious and very, players can feel very frazzled. But I always felt like Pat did a really good job of giving us confidence in those moments. Now, granted, we won a lot of games by a lot, by a big margin. So maybe we didn't have the huge sample size that other programs did. But in those moments, I always felt very confident. When we left that huddle, I knew exactly what we were going to do and we were going to be successful at it. So that's the other thing. I want to take that poise and I want to give that to our players. I want to be able to project that to our team in those moments because they don't need to be frazzled. They need to be very confident in the game plan and confident in each other.
So your sideline demeanor, then, what Mizzou fans are going to see on the sideline, there's all different ways, and every one of them can work, right? Your counterpart, I always joke that Dennis Gates may not be human and may not have emotion because on the sideline, like you can never tell if he's up 40 or down 40. Do you try to stay calm, or are you going to be one of these stomping the sidelines, working the refs, coaches?
I feel like for me, if you watch me, you're going to see every gamut, every possible emotion, no emotion, too high emotion. You're going to see everything. I think, the ebbs and flows of the games. There will be times, I'll be honest with you, there will be times I will go into a game and I'm reading our team. I'm like, ooh, they need me tonight. They need all of me tonight. And, I know I have to be there for them. And there are times that I can just coast. I can beat Dennis Gates, there are times that I'm comfortable with that too. I think where you may not always see is in those intimate moments, 30 seconds left, we've got to run this play. What are we going to do? That's when my demeanor, no matter what, boom, we're going to be very poised. We're going to be very confident. We're going to do it the right way, and we're going to get it done.
Yeah. So you have coached been a head coach at basically every level of college basketball. I think it's fair to call Western Carolina probably a little bit of a low major, Missouri State the mid major, NC State certainly a good Power 5 program, and then the elite of college basketball at Tennessee. How different are all those jobs, or when it comes down to it, is it the same job, just a different place?
Both. At the end of the day, it's the same, right? You've got players and you're preparing them for life to get an education and to play basketball and to compete. And wherever you're at, your non-conference games will be up and down, but once you get to league, you're comparable, right? I think all that. But how you get there and what it looks like if you start comparing those schools to one another, they're very different. All of them are very different. But I think what is the same is wherever you're at, there is something that is comparable, right? All of that. So in your league, you got to beat your league, right? And that's regardless of what league you're in. I think that's important. and how you do it um, can change a little bit, but that's not changed because we're at this school or this school. It changes because of your personnel and your system and where you think you can be successful with the schedule that you're going to be playing.
So, good segue into this year's team. You mentioned the system, you mentioned the personnel. How much in year one is it fitting what you do to what you have on hand versus taking what you have on hand and trying to fit them into what you want to do?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Throughout my career, I've done, and when you like, I'll give you an example. Our defenses in the past, I've done a little bit of everything in 20 years of coaching, right? And
Right.
so for us, I'll go back to what I've done that I think will really fit this team. But also, I'm very open to new and some innovative opportunities as well. So as a staff, we'll sit down and ultimately whatever I'm most comfortable with is what we're going to do. But I'm not going to just say this is my system and here. No, I mean this is the system that's going to fit where we're at, and it's not just this particular team, but the teams we're building in the future as well.
Right. I know the coach answer to this question is like we want to be multiple, we run a million different things, but to try to nail you down, you've got 90 seconds left in a tie game. Like what do you ultimately want to do? What's your go-to offensively and defensively without like giving away, hey, here's what I'm going to do right against Arkansas in mid-June or
Yeah.
mid-February.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're still going to work through some of that. I think we're going to try to use our basketball IQ defensively here. I think that's going to be one of our strengths. Um, uh, I mean, use our basketball defensively, basketball IQ defensively. And then offensively, I think for us, trying to use our versatility and trying to always know when we have five people on the court, all five people can score. So finding balance, being a team that has the ability to shoot the basketball in the perimeter and be able to share the basketball, find some interior opportunities as well.
So this isn't exclusive to being a first year head coach anymore. Basically, when you were a college coach, you take over a team in whether it's September, May, whenever it is that you're dealing with like 14 free agents. This is college sports now. So when you got this job and you looked at this roster, what did you identify as these are my priority? Like I have to have, I have to focus on this person being back, or this is what I can build around.
Yeah, I think actually you're right. It's an interesting time right now more than ever. Although mentioned I've taken over, and now this is my fifth program. This is the first one that actually the transfer portal was a thing.
Mhm.
So very unusual times. So um, I think one, you're not going to force people to say, I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to be very honest. And sometimes those honest conversations are hard. I mean, I think sometimes you're having conversations with people and you're saying, hey, uh, if this is what you want to do, we'll do it. But I don't see, I don't see the minutes that you want here. Or, hey, somebody comes to me and is like, coach, I just want to do something different. What am I? I'm not going to be able to combat that if they already have that in their head. So I think for us, just here's what we're going to do. Here's who I am. Here's what we're all about. Here's where I think you fit in. Does that work in your vision? I think you just have to have real honest conversations. And we are so excited. We have five players that we kept from last year's team, and they've been great. They have been all in. They're very hungry. Grace Slaughter, obviously for us, an in-state kid who has had a lot of success already in the SEC at an early age in 2 years. It was just really important that she felt comfortable and felt good. I was hoping that she would, and she did. And so for her, she'll definitely be a leader for our team. And she just has great experience that we're going to rely on.
So, like you said, you bring 5 players back. Obviously, you go into the portal knowing I need a minimum of like 5 or 6 more bodies just to get through a season. What specifically, other than hey, I just need players and preferably good players, what specifically did you go into the portal looking for?
Yeah, you're right. First off, we had to make a team. I mean, 5
Right.
players. I love them, but we're probably not going to.
You're not going Hoosiers here, huh? My team's on
No,
the
no,
floor.
we're not in our league anyway. So we knew that we had a real a challenge to be able to be picky, but also make a team. And we knew we wanted to try to get everybody on our roster. Like I said earlier, they have an ability to score. We knew we needed to address some size in a post position. And some ball handling and some athleticism on the perimeter. Those were 2 important things. And I think we did it. And I think we did it with also targeting really good kids, like really, really good people. Because you know what? Those 5 players that stuck around, they deserve that. They deserve to have great teammates, and it's been really good. Now, granted, we ain't lost the game yet, and we haven't not started somebody yet, but I'm telling you, this is one of the most special groups of young women that I've ever coached. They are really pulling together. They're united right now. So we're going to have hurdles. Every team does, but we're starting in a really good spot.
I know, obviously, you can't talk about specific players that haven't signed with you yet, but you've had a few official visitors on campus. You've gotten all these transfers. You've been all over the place. I've covered recruiting for 22 years, and in every sport, it's the same. I say there are 2 pitches: either we're on top, you can help us stay there, or we're not on top, you can help us get there. I'm curious what the response you've gotten from these players you're going out and trying to convince to come here and elevate this program from where it's been the last few years has been.
Yeah, I think really players that have visited our campus and even players that we've talked to that are planning to visit our campus, I think they have just enjoyed the energy. And I think, they hear our vision for our program and for them. And they want to be a part of it. They're like, hey, what's going on over there? We may need to go check this out. And so I think we've gotten a lot of traction. I think we've gotten a lot of interest from people that maybe thought, hey, let me dabble into this and come and realize, wow, that's a really good option for me. I think we're targeting the people that will fit us both on the court and off the court. I think that's been important. But I'm really, really pleased with really the work our staff has done. They've been terrific. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go. I feel good about it, right? But I hit a home run on the staff. I hired a great staff, and they're really working hard and working efficiently and doing some great things. So one of those great things is how we're working in recruiting. And I think we've got a lot of really good players on the phone. We've had a lot of really good players interested, and we've had really good players on campus. That's a great start. I think they just want to be a part of something really, really special.
One part of buy-in is obviously getting the players. The other part is the fan base, and I know you talked a lot about that at your introductory press conference and all that. What's been your experience getting to get out and meet some of the people around town and some of the people who have been longtime fans of this program?
Yeah, I've had a few events that I've gotten out to, whether that's I've had a few speaking engagements, which you can look at that a couple ways. I do my speech, but I feel like every time I'm out there speaking, I'm an ambassador for our program, and hopefully, wherever I go, maybe a couple people latch on and say, I want to check this out, see what she's talking about. And then I've had some big events with some donors and some boosters and stuff. So I think just as much as people can realize that we're real, we're human, and I think there's a quality there that I hope the folks in the community want to come out and continue those that have always supported Mizzou, to continue to do that. That's not changing. I mean, Mizzou fans are diehard fans, man. They love it, and they're gonna support it. And so we're feeling that right now. So we're really excited to get to know all those fans on a personal level, because I do think, as we get closer to basketball season, people start thinking more about basketball, and you start reaching out and making those connections a little bit more. But also, maybe some people in the community that haven't ever, been women's basketball fans, maybe this is a good time for them to jump on board and see what all the excitement's about, and, maybe latch on. I think we've got some really special players that in my head, there's going to be several players that are going to be fan favorites. Oh, they're going to love her, but they're also going to love her. And I think when you can have somebody like that you just, I just want to go watch her play, whoever that is. I think that's really special. And hopefully, we can also get our players out in the community as well, and maybe make those connections.
One of the things that I know a lot of fans have noticed is your intention to engage the fan base on social media. I mean, you're doing player breakdowns, and I know you guys had a retreat, and some of that was out there. Like, and look, you're not someone who came up in college basketball when social media and doing this was a part of it, right? But how important is that in trying to bring more fans to your program?
Well, it was a priority for our staff to come in, and I think the way that we have this structured, my assistant coach Liza Fruin has been. I've got to give her a lot of the credit, because she's got great vision. She's working with our creative staff. We've got several folks that were already here at Mizzou, that are working together to put out a product, and it's very planned. It's very organized, and I think the biggest goal is to showcase who we are. We're excited. We're proud of who we are, and we just want to get it out there in a positive way, and in a way that's exciting for the folks that do follow social media. And I think that's been a real positive. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from, honestly, people in our community, even talking about how they've enjoyed getting to know our program through social.
All right, I got two more questions for you, and I know you got a busy day. The first one, what is, and again, I know that putting the word realistic in this question kind of slants it, but what's a realistic hope, expectation for where your program is sitting a year from now?
Yeah, oh man, I'm such a competitor. I just, we're gonna win every game, right? You
Right.
want to say that. That one is the answer you want to give. And I tell you what, I don't want to sell these kids short. So I know we have a huge uphill battle. I'm very well aware of that. I know the league that we are in. I understand the grind that is the SEC women's basketball. But, I think for us, I'd love to see us overachieve. I'd love to see us figure out some wins that we weren't supposed to win on paper, sneak in a few. And then I'd love nothing more than to get this team to the NCAA tournament, because they want it. They're gonna work so hard to do it. I know it's going to be a huge challenge, but I think you gotta throw that out there as something that can be a realistic goal for this group.
All right, last one, and the answer to this one could go a million different ways. I think it's pretty easy to argue the most recognizable, famous professional athlete from the University of Missouri right now is someone who played women's basketball here. I'm curious, as someone who I've known Sophie since she was a sophomore in high school. She graduated a year ahead of my son, and I've said, if she is on your team, you absolutely love her. If she is on the other team, she is the most hated player in the league. I am curious, as someone who has watched Sophie from afar and now went through a little bit of the interview process with Sophie, and I'm sure is hoping to lean on her as being an ambassador for your program. Just your Sophie Cunningham thoughts.
Yeah, so let me throw one in there also. I coached against her. I coached against her for 4 years, and so I watched her in high school, coached against her for 4 years. And I had a unique experience, because while I was coaching her, one of her best friends and some of her really, really good friends was on my team.
Mm-hmm.
So they loved her because they had played with her before, but now we're playing against her.
Yeah, they didn't love playing against her.
So it was the most unusual dynamic. She is, man, you hate to see her on the other team. I mean, hate it. But when I wasn't playing her, I was a fan. I've always been a fan. And now I can say, hey, I'm proud of her as well, right? But I've always been a fan of hers, and the reason being is because I saw her journey. I watched her from afar. I saw her develop her skill set, where it came from and where it is now and what she can do. Man, kudos to her because she worked. She did it. But the reason she did it and the reason that it was so successful is because she is one of the most competitive, determined human beings that I know. There's very few times can you point to one person and say they can will a team to win. And Sophie could do that.
Yeah.
That's a gift. That is a gift.
Hey, there appear to be no rules in college sports. Maybe you can find one more year of eligibility for her.
I'm all in. I think we should start it. I think we should figure it out, work backwards, however we need to do, and get Sophie back over here, because I'm telling you, it just takes one of those players to and if you put the right people around it, my goodness, she's a winner. She's a winner.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, I know you're busy. Really appreciate you taking some time. I know fans have been wanting to hear from you, and we'll look forward to how the rest of the summer unfolds in year one.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks a lot. That is Mizzou women's basketball coach Kellie Harper. Wanted to catch up with her here in the summer, middle of workouts, middle of official visit season, million things going on. Appreciate her taking the time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things while you're here. We'll talk to you down the road.